folks, I am back with a brand new video. This time I'm covering video game news once again. Haven't made a video like this in quite a while, but I decided to make a brand new video about gaming news because I love talking about news about brand new games coming out, especially the ones I desire to play. If you guys didn't know, The Last of Us Online was canceled. It was supposed to be a standalone online multiplayer game that, again, was basically a sequel to Factions mode in Last of Us Part 1. And unfortunately, again, the game was canceled. Most of us Last of Us fans were pretty disappointed. Very sad news. But Naughty Dog had a reason for canceling the game, and it's understandable. Now, the reason Naughty Dog had to cancel the game was because they would have to put all their resources into post-launch content for years to come. If they were to do something like that, it would have impacted their ability to develop future single-player games. It would have been a stumbling block. You know, they were trying to work on other single-player games, and pulling out all these resources into post-launch content would have been a huge problem for them. Of course, I was one of those Last of Us fans who was really looking forward to playing this game. I mean, guys, I loved the first Last of Us. I think it had a great story. Joel was like a badass hero. Freaking guy was awesome. You know, I love the story, the plot, the gameplay, the mechanics. You know, it felt like a survival game also because there's a lot of to do with survival in the game, and I freaking loved it. And again, combat was great, Factions was great, and the multiplayer was awesome. Obviously, I was bad at it, but it was still freaking fun, and I think it was a great component for The Last of Us. The game was so good that I actually downloaded The Last of Us Remake. Because if you guys didn't know, I think about a month ago, PlayStation Plus made the game available for free for PlayStation Plus members. And I pretty much got dibs on it. Downloaded the game, played through the entire remake. It was a ton of fun. Of course, the remake still had the same story. You still had a lot of elements from the first game. But the graphics were great. I love how the game played, and it was just a thrill ride. It was a great adventure. I freaking loved it. Finished it about a month ago, and I had just recently installed The Last of Us Part 2 because it was also made available for free for PlayStation Plus members. Now, guys, I'm going to be very honest. I did not like the story for The Last of Us Part 2. There were certain elements of the story that I did not like, that I did not agree with, which I will not talk about right now. However, I did see their new roguelike mode. I think it's called No Return. And when I first heard that it was added to the remastered version, I was like, well, it doesn't have a story and gameplay looks pretty lit. I mean, it's roguelike, it's arcade-like. There's a lot of just action in it involved. You know, you're fighting waves of enemies like hunters and the zombies, the infected. And I was like, you know, I should give this a try. So I downloaded the remastered version. I'm going to give the roguelike mode a try. Looks a lot of fun. But other than that, I did not like the story. But besides that, what are the Last of Us fans going to do now that Factions 2 has been canceled? Well, that's a good question. Because a indie developer is actually working on a third-person shooter online multiplayer game that I mentioned earlier that is similar to Factions from The Last of Us. Basically, this game is what The Last of Us Online was supposed to be. And I'm actually very excited for this because the game actually looks good so far. The game is called Terminal War, and it's being developed by an indie developer, Albatross Interactive. That's their name. So this is an indie game, and it's inspired by The Last of Us Factions. It's going to play just like the game, but Albatross is trying to basically revive the concept in their own way with a fresh new take. So it's called Terminal War. It's unrelated to The Last of Us, but it plays similar to the game. It's going to be online multiplayer, and so far the executions in that game are freaking brutal. And for those of you who didn't see the trailer yet, well, check it out. that freaking gameplay was lit. I mean, the thing that got me most were the executions. They definitely give you the factions vibe from The Last of Us Part 1. It is just freaking explosive. I love it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the recent news for this game. And I'm reading an article from Insider Gaming. The Last of Us Factions 2 was supposed to be the big follow-up to the hit multiplayer mode from Part 1. Naughty Dog had other ideas and nixed those plans, canceling the game and breaking hearts in the process. This is why Albatross Interactive is looking to revive the concept in its own way with a fresh name, Terminal War. This is what I'm really hoping Albatross can do, is that they can revive the actual concept for Factions 2, what it should have been, what it could have been, and just bring the Last of Us fans into it, because they were really hoping for it, and it's what we want, and we're hoping this is what we can get. The article reads, everyone loves The Last of Us, and it's rightly celebrated as one of the greatest games ever made. But one aspect that probably doesn't get the love it deserves is the Factions multiplayer mode. It ignores typical multiplayer conventions and takes you on a potential 84-match journey as you play to keep your people alive. A new The Last of Us multiplayer game was officially cancelled, but Terminal War is here to keep the dream alive. Now this I have to agree with the author of this article, because you know what? The Last of Us is definitely one of the greatest games I've ever played in my entire life. I mean, it was a great action game, great story. It's had its moments of terror, but it was a great adventure, and I just love the concept of all three genres mixed together in one game. Action, adventure, horror, the combat, the survival, all that stuff was great, the story, and it was just a great game. I never played an action game that epic in my life in so many years. Like, honestly, The Last of Us is that one game for the PlayStation 3 that got me hyped about playing single player games again. And the funny thing is, I didn't even buy the PS3 version. I didn't get to play the game until the PS4 came out, when they decided to develop the remastered version for the PS4. And that's when I got a hold of the game, played the game, and I was like, I missed out on this freaking game. It is so freaking lit. And then, like I said, recently I downloaded The Last of Us Remake for PS5 because it was free, I think, last month on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, I have to play this. And it was still just as good. And I agree with this other statement the author of the article said. Factions mode didn't get much of the love that it deserved. It was freaking lit, but it felt underrated at the same time. We had a lot of fun with it. The 4v4, the goal of surviving and knocking out other players, all that was freaking awesome. But it just felt underrated. It didn't get much of the love that it deserved. But I love what the author of this article said, that even though Last of Us Online was canceled, the developers of Terminal War are trying to keep the dream alive. And I freaking love that. And I wish them the best. I hope for the best. And that they do keep the dream alive in this new upcoming shooter. Terminal War sticks to the original 4v4 factions gameplay concept. Harsh and gritty combat that forces you to keep one eye on your resources as well as around every corner. And that's one thing I remember about factions mode was resources. It was a big deal in the multiplayer component of The Last of Us. You needed to loot ammo, find ammo, build med kits, all those things, finding weapons. All those things mattered because you needed to survive. You needed to win the match. Without those things, you would lose the match. And of course, Terminal War is going to obviously be all about resources. That's going to play a big role in multiplayer. So I'm liking the concept of this already. And you can tell by reading the details of this article about the game, you can tell it's going to be a tactical shooter. Because that's exactly what Factions was like in the first Last of Us game. It wasn't just about survival, it was a tactical style shooter. And information was very important. And you guys know me, I love tactical shooters. I play Rainbow Six Siege, and it's a good freaking game. You guys have watched me play it on my YouTube channel and record gameplay of it. It's freaking lit. It's a tactical shooter. It ain't no Call of Duty. I was a Call of Duty fan for so many years, and I stopped playing it recently. But Call of Duty is not a tactical shooter. That game is just all about killing players and getting enough kills to win the match. It's very aggressive. It ain't a tactical shooter. But Terminal War, you can tell this is going to be a great freaking tactical shooter. Alongside a new unofficial gameplay teaser, developer Albatross Interactive declared they, talking about Naughty Dog, canceled The Last of Us Factions 2, so we're building it our version. We're indie and entirely self-funded, 4v4, limited ammo, brutal executions. The X-Post has already had over 500,000 views, and the gameplay footage looks meaty and faithful to Factions' gloriously violent melee kills. So it's pretty good that the game is getting a lot of attention right now on X. I use X and I've noticed that, and so yeah, a lot of people don't like the X app, but Twitter's still freaking awesome. But yeah, good to know that they're getting a lot of attention there. A lot of people are hearing about the game. There's a lot of awareness going on, so this is freaking awesome. The article reads, if you need to seek out a tourist or two, Terminal War might scratch an itch that might have lingered forever. The new 4v4 shooter is coming to early access very soon on Steam and already looks to have a very healthy following. And that's the end of the article. So I'm really looking forward to the early access of the game. As the article says, it should be coming out very soon. I will have to upgrade my laptop and make some adjustments to my computer. And I'm going to try to get a hold of the playtest in the near future and see if I can record some gameplay of it and upload it to my YouTube channel and give you my thoughts on it, first impressions. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, based on the details we've read so far and the gameplay teaser trailer that we just watched. Let me know in the comments if you're going to give the early access a try on Steam, and yeah, I hope to see you guys there as well. Well, God bless you all. Appreciate you guys watching. I really look forward to this freaking game. I think it's going to be great. All have a good day. God bless and Godspeed.